we obviously the quarter is a reflection of the current events, including COVID, and your own restructuring efforts. So I did want to start there. You've seen some layoffs, you've seen some write-downs. Where are you in that process, would you say?
I think we're early in the process of the evolution of Canopy because of where we are with the industry. In terms of our own restructuring activities, we're well along in that. We have reset our commercial organizations, and we're really happy with how those organizations are functioning at the moment. We've also agreed to focus our business on Canada, the United States, and Germany instead of looking at ourselves as trying to be everywhere in the world. And so, yeah, we've made a lot of progress, and you're starting to see those numbers come through in our results.
You did cut 18% of your staff, and obviously there's a lot that's COVID related here. But do you see some of that bouncing back, or do you see more layoffs? Give us a sense of the jobs picture.
Yeah, I think going forward, what you'll see from our business is just more normal adds and subtracts of headcount based upon business conditions. So the big layoff kinds of activities we think are behind us. We do have the business structured such that we can grow quite a bit without having to add people. So I don't know that there'll be a lot of positions added to the business. But again, we now believe that we have a business that can profitably compete in Canada.
And on that front, I mean, you are increasing your sales here. Give me your targets, and when I say that, where your focus will be. Medical sales was strong here. Is that the emphasis for you, or because I know you're also looking at improving the quality of your production? Does that imply a higher end consumer market? Where's your strategy?
Yeah, so we think to win in Canada, you need to win in the rec market. You need to continue to service the medical market, and of course we will. But you need to win in the rec market, and that's with existing flower products as well as with the 2.0 products like vapes and drinks and edibles and topicals and so forth. And so our intent, Amanda, is to be a top share, to have a top share position in each of those segments across Canada. And we think, the intellectual property and the products and the brands that will allow us to do that. And so now we're going through piece by piece, trying to understand what needs to be done in each area. And the first area we've defined is that we need to improve our flower quality. We've made great strides in the quarter. Haven't seen all of that make its way to retail yet, but we expect that that'll become clear to our consumers over the next few months. So to me, that's job one, and then we'll work our way to the other product categories.
And on that front, there has been a sense that it's been a slow fight against the black market for the legal pot players. Where do you see yourself in that, and what's the headway that you're making?
Well, I think if you look at the industry in aggregate, in maybe the end of November, the value segment of the industry was about 6% of the legal market. At the end of last month, it was about 35%. And it's all come as the industry has grown. So it's really been the result of taking share from the illicit market. And I think Canopy, as well as the other LPs, we need to do our job in terms of driving high quality, safe products at the right price. And when we do that, we will be able to continue to take share from the illicit market. And you can see some of the kind of early wins in that regard over the past quarter.
And one of the other categories you mentioned is the vape category. How important is the U.S. market for you in that category?
Well, I think ultimately it will be important. I think the largest category in the U.S. right now is flower, and that's followed by vape. We have oil-based vapes, of course, on the market, but we have a bit of a leg up on herbal vaporizers, which are potentially at least in some people's opinion, a better way to vape in our Storz & Bickel brand, which we've really started to add distribution in the U.S. And that gave us a bit of a tailwind in our first quarter in terms of driving more sales of the Storz & Bickel product into the North America.
And as we just heard from David, George Koch, that you are obviously the beverage market is important. We know that there's sort of a strong sense of the potential of the future of that market. How much of that will depend on branding and market share gains, and how much of it will depend on actual intellectual property that you can protect?
I think it'll be a little bit of both. So it's hard to call like which component of growth comes from which category at this point. I think though that most people in the market don't understand yet what we have coming. To me, this is a category coming for me coming from the beer industry that will be bigger than seltzer because it offers a better tasting product. We can get to 0 calories, no hangover, and we can give people different sorts of effects. And we think that right now, when people talk about cannabis drinks, they're talking about current cannabis users migrating to cannabis drinks. I think that will be a factor. I think the bigger factor, however, will be non-cannabis users who probably aren't going to take up smoking to join the category can enter the category through something like drinks. We're really excited about the opportunity that segment has for us.
What's the runway on that? When do you see that category as being, it's a more mature one with meaningful kind of market share and revenue?
Yeah, so we started shipping at the end of March, and we've already shipped 1.2 million units into Canada. To put that in perspective, the entire U.S. market in the entire year of 2019 shipped just over 4 million units. So we're making some really good headway. We can barely keep our retailers stocked in Canada, and we'll get more consumer feedback and retailer feedback once we get to the place we're in continuous supply. At the same time, we're continuing to innovate those products so that we have the next generation of those products hitting the market as a fast follower to the first generation products which are in the market today. And then I think the sky's the limit in terms of how big this can be.
One of the kind of untested areas of this whole space, and I think you might agree it'll come up most pointedly with the vapes, are the health consequences of the use. Are you worried about sort of an avenue that you have yet to go, the industry, may have yet to go down on that front, that there may be kind of health repercussions that come back up, and it may be years off, but that might be in the future?
We've been doing research for several years now at Canopy, and we've been partnered with some of the most influential research institutions. And our job one, as we see it, is safety. And so we do partner with Health Canada and the FDA on long-term safety studies, whether it's related to CBD or cannabis products themselves. We think that most evidence points to this being a reasonably safe product, given that people have been consuming cannabis for thousands of years. And so we will continue to be at the forefront of that safety research and safety discussion, but feeling pretty confident that there are no significant negative consequences that are going to come to the fore.
I guess just to put a finer point on that, David, I would say we could distinguish between the product itself, so cannabis as causing no harm, and the delivery mechanism, either ingesting it through smoke in your lungs or a vaporizer. I guess that's the method I think that people will still have concern about.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen is that when there have been negative effects from, say, vaping, it's usually been caused by inadequate safety standards enforced on the vendors, which is why we as part of the industry are advocating for strong public health regulations around cannabis and cannabis products, because we think that's the way to be able to meet the consumer needs and to make sure that that we're emphasizing the safety of the people who are using the product.
All right, it's great to have your time today, David. We appreciate it. David Klein is the CEO of Canopy Growth.